Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about the cookware set that I like to take with me when I go. This is considerably more elaborate, certainly more than one person needs, but when it comes to being able to cook out in the field, it's so much better to have too much. Obviously, if I'm truck camping, I'm going to bring everything, and I'm going to bring my Dutch oven and a frying pan, and I'm going to bring basically everything from my kitchen. Backpacking, it's obviously going to be an edited load, but this is the full deal that I like to go when I can. Starting with the heart of the system is the 14 centimeter billy can. This is a zebra can, really good quality. These seem to be very resistant to warping, good quality stainless steel. I bought mine from Firebox Stoves out of Utah in the States, but they're widely available. Basically, they're all a three-piece set. You've got the can itself with a very good quality bale. You have a steamer insert, double boiler insert, little pan insert with an appropriate handle. You can turn it into a frying pan. I like it. The idea is a secondary pan, especially if you're just keeping something warm while you're making something else. It works perfectly for that. I have this little pot from an old cook set that I've had for years, and basically inside it I just have my salt and pepper, what have you. You fill it as things you like. I've got my seasonings. I've even got a little spare ferro rod and striker in there. Backups are always good. This folds up nicely and drops into the bottom of the zebra can. And then in this little void here, you can put any number of things. Throw a little bit of dish soap. This is a pot holder that comes in very handy, and this is a piece of wire that I bent to work as basically a small rack that'll hold coals when you're using the billy can as a baking, in a baking configuration. You can lay it on its side over top of the firebox stove, and you can actually turn it into a dry oven. That's the reason actually I've put this little hole in here. That comes later. And I basically just sort of try to squeeze this all down into here. Sometimes it doesn't work first time. Now I also have the 14 centimeter zebra. They call this a lunchbox. This is great. It's got a nice handle, and again, it's that same good quality stainless steel. Haven't broken this in yet, but one of the ways I thought about putting this all together, it will involve losing this extra steamer pan. I don't take it with me, or I don't plan to, because what I'm going to put in here will be the second part of the very, very good quality cordura bag that you can buy for these pots. The one thing about any pot, of course, when you're using it over most fuel sources, it's going to get really sootied up, especially if you're using it over top of an alcohol stove, or certain types of fuel will produce a lot more carbon and soot on the bottom, and it's not always practical to be able to do a perfect cleanup on it in the field, and you don't want to get that all over the rest of your gear. So these cordura bags will take the brunt. You can always clean it later. So the way I've got this figured out, normally you would put this in on top of the 14 centimeter billy can. This would basically go in this configuration. But what I've done is I've just, what I put in here is just some extra accessories that you're always going to want to have with your stove. In this particular case, I have a backup fire starting box. There's some Vaseline soaked cotton balls in there ready to go. This is actually the little thermometer that I will screw into the hole right here when I'm using the billy can in its horizontal configuration over top of a heat source in the dry baking configuration. That's a good spot for it. This is a tremendous little set of folding cutlery that my niece gave me a few years ago. I love these things. I use them all the time. They fold out. They're decent, surprisingly decent weight. They feel really good. They're not. They actually will carry a load. That's a big enough fork. It's a big enough spoon. A lot of times the camping cutlery is less than ideal. This is really great stuff. And of course there's a small knife as well, and it comes in its own little bag. A lighter, always a little spare cheap little knife, a couple of hand warmers, just what have you. You'll decide what you want to put in the bag. These are some things that I like to have as backups mostly. And I'll just simply do that bag up and put it in here. And then when you latch up the bag, you can then put it in the bottom of the big cordura bag. Then you can take your 14 centimeter billy, drop it in on top, and the bag is just big enough that you can cinch that up. You can still carry it. Everything's self-contained. And you've got the ability to cook for a whole family just right in that one small bag.